Hey everybody, this is episode 180 of the Super Deluxe Games Cast. We wanted to start and get something out of the way first. The world is like scary as hell right now. We all know what's going on. And we want to say first to our communities, people who are listening right now, we love you all so much. And we hope that however this is affecting you, you either are currently or can become safe and healthy and happy and well and taken care of because you deserve every one of those things. And this is hard as hell, and we're going to survive it by taking care of each other. And on that note, the second thing that we want to say is that we know what kind of community we have here, but on the off chance someone is listening that hasn't fully taken this seriously yet, please just start doing that right now. Check the CDC guidelines, follow them, don't leave your house unless you absolutely have to, maintain social distance, wash your hands, don't needlessly endanger yourself, and don't needlessly endanger others by turning yourself into a walking disease bus to vulnerable people. Just please, right now, love and care for everyone around you and for yourself. We know that that's the kind of community we have around us. And so with that, we're not going to talk about COVID anymore. We wanted to say that ahead of time because we all know what's going on. And we might have reason to talk about it on future episodes because this is probably going to go on for a hot minute. But we think that most of you are just fucking exhausted, and we're pretty exhausted too. And so we want to just give us all like a 90-minute break from all of that. It's touching every part of our world right now, so while we're talking about games, we might accidentally bump up against the topic once or twice, but we're just going to do our damnedest to steer away from reminders that the world is on fire for the next 90 minutes, and we're going to talk about some good as hell gaming stuff and enjoy one another's company. So, we love you so much. Please be good to each other. Let's talk about some fucking video games.
Animal Crossing in like 3 hours, less than 3 hours now.
I know, it's preloaded on my Switch right now. I did a really stupid thing like 5 minutes before the podcast. Yeah. I tried to open it up and it told me I wasn't allowed.
Derek, I see your hands up and I dread that we have a technical difficulty.
No,
oh God.
I just wanted to say that Walking Disease Bus was the name of my Jimmy Buffett grunge cover band back in high school. That's it.
I will say right now, everybody, like, there's some strong beard game happening on this podcast.
I'm not shaving my beard until we leave pandemic status. And I'm beginning, I know, I'm sorry, but I'm beginning to believe I may regret that because this is already the meatiest my beard has ever been, and I can feel it, and it's gonna get stronger.
I don't shave my beard. Is it coming in?
No, I read you shaved your beard. I'm really disappointed by that.
I shaved the Gungeon beanie off my head.
You should definitely grow that back.
I should also not get my hair cut, and hopefully by in soon enough I'll look like Ben Affleck in Argo or something.
Well, I can't wear the Gungeon beanie on the same podcast as you, John, because that'll cause like a universe like paradox and everything will just explode.
Actually, if you were to wear the Gungeon beanie on the same podcast as me, I think that would open up a hole in space-time. And I don't know, like paradoxes, right? Like you ever see Time Cop? Who ever seen Time Cop?
I've not seen Time Cop.
No,
you've not seen Time Cop.
I've seen Time Cop.
Okay, you know what I'm talking about, Justin? Where like the two guys from different times touch each other, and all of a sudden they just explode or melt into a puddle. Yeah, like that's what happens. So you got to be very careful with that Gungeon beanie.
You can't wear the Gungeon beanie on the same.
If you're gonna wear it, just warn me if you're gonna be in my presence. That's all.
Okay.
That's all I need. So. How is everybody doing on this fine Thursday evening?
You know,
Don't answer that. Don't answer that.
So an honest answer, I do have Animal Crossing, and that's the thing, right? Like we were trying to figure out topics for this show, and one of them was we wanted to talk about the reviews for Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing because that is literally like there are like two big gaming topics this week. One of them is the hardware, which we're going to get to, and the other one is the fact that Doom and Animal Crossing are imminent. Like the sirens are going off; they are coming in. Some people have them already for some reason.
And they're good?
But they're apparently very good, but we don't want to talk about the reviews because none of us have played them yet. And so we're gonna just dive right into those games. I think we're gonna have like a Doom Animal Crossing double feature next week is what has been floated. I'm not making any promises because I don't set the schedule, but that idea was floated.
I am perfectly okay with
I like
that.
a Justin and Reb and Jeff like ultimate, and I don't know who else will be plays Doom, but I know that Justin like cares about.
Oh, I love Doom. Are you
I know Maddie is Doom. Maddie used a VPN to unlock it early and has been playing all day.
It's just gonna be like a power hour.
I'm probably gonna be playing it at midnight, so.
I'm going to be playing Animal Crossing at midnight. I can't
play
wait
Animal
another
Crossing
minute.
at midnight because it's on a real-time system, right? And I don't want... No one fucking flies to a deserted island at midnight. What the fuck is that?
But you got to set your island... You got to set it up before anybody's going to fly to it.
No,
you got to get things going.
But she's got to fly there.
Because the thing's on like a real-time clock, right? And at midnight, nobody's awake. Nothing's open. The stores aren't open.
Rev, I had heard that when you first put up the game, it does a fake morning no matter what.
Oh.
That's what I had heard. That's what my wife has told me.
Well, don't tell me that, because then I will stay up until midnight, and that is
Do it, Rev.
You know what, Rev?
Everything I
You
said.
should be healthy and get sleep like human beings are supposed to, and then get up bright and early for that flight to the island.
Yeah, I'm gonna get up
right.
probably at 5 a.m.
My
bosses were like, hey, I'm like, I don't think I can host the podcast this week. Reb, can you do it? And I'm like, I will, but you all have to be extremely nice to me because that's an hour of Animal Crossing time I am losing right there. You're gonna hear a little doo-doo-doo music in the background, and it's gonna be Animal Crossing on my Switch next to me.
Reb's gonna be so distracted during that podcast. She's gonna be like, "Yeah, what? Right? Okay, right. GameStop."
You all don't understand how much I have wanted this game and how long I've wanted this game. I went back and looked at my articles from the first gaming site I wrote on from back in 2014, and I was writing like stupid shit in there about put Animal Crossing on the Wii U. It has been 2 years since New Leaf came out. It is fucking time. I wasn't saying fuck back then actually. But like I've been banging this drum for so long, and we are finally here.
That's right.
And apparently, it's the best Animal Crossing game that has been released so far.
I don't know. I haven't played it. I can't say.
We'll see.
So,
my birthday celebration this year is playing Doom at midnight tonight.
Is your birthday
I'm
tomorrow?
happy for you.
When's your birthday?
Yeah, tomorrow.
What the fuck? You gotta tell us this
This
shit.
is stealthy, Justin.
It's
I'm
just
sorry.
birthday, everybody.
Justin is a birthday ninja.
Happy early birthday, Big Bustin'.
Birthday.
Should we sing happy birthday to him right now?
No,
Yeah, we
please
should.
don't.
Yeah.
No, let's not do that
No,
to him.
Please
No?
don't.
I want to.
I don't like making a big
We
deal
don't
out of
have
my
his
birthday.
consent.
I haven't done much for
fine.
my birthday in a long
Jeff
time.
gestured no, which means no.
Okay.
And also,
Justin, the happiest of birthdays to you.
Happy birthday,
you,
buddy.
also,
So-
not
Go
in
ahead.
quite a celebrating mood this year.
Wow.
So-
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, okay, that's fair enough. But so before we kick things off, I was wondering if I could talk about something real quick because I just got done playing it, and I want to talk about it.
The
We're
whole
starting with
first
what
half of the
you're playing,
podcast
right?
is what you've been playing, so...
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
all
We're
right.
doing
Well,
it
then,
extended.
John.
do you guys mind if I go first?
Go.
Sure.
Go.
Excellent.
I mean,
So I just literally before I got on the computer, I just got done playing the Resident Evil 3 demo.
I played it earlier this afternoon.
So, holy shit. So, okay. Right off the bat, this game is Justin. You tell me if you agree with me, but Jill controls a little faster, a little quicker. She feels more agile than Leon right off the bat. There's definitely a more of an action tint to this game than there was in Resident Evil 2. For example, the demo is about 25 minutes long, and by the end of the demo, I had like 85 handgun rounds. And which, is generally not what you expect when you play Resident Evil for, half an hour. She's got a really cool dodge move. Like if you do like a perfect dodge, you can do a little special attack with your gun or your knife, depending on what you're equipped with. But that's not to say that they're ramping the horror aspect down at all, because it's still very tense. The music is really good, especially when Nemesis starts chasing you. And Nemesis is fucking terrifying.
He's
like
huge.
Holy shit! You remember how Mr. X, for those of you who played who played Resident Evil 2, Zach, he just walk after you. Nemesis fucking dashes at you. He fucking runs at you. And there was one moment where I thought I had gotten away from Nemesis and I was walking up some stairs. I'm like, yeah, I didn't hear the music anymore. And all of a sudden he, like a fucking ghost out of the night, just drops in front of me. Just bam! I yelled and threw the. I was like, fuck! And I threw the controller.
He busts through walls. He launches
he launches himself at you like
He's
it's fucking right, Justin? He's fucking terrifying.
He big boy.
Red, is that moonshine?
Yeah, what is that?
I was gonna say it looks like toilet hooch.
Friends, this is the dregs. I will not be drinking this part. This is the dregs of my last batch of homemade mead.
Oh, I remember
Pear,
that.
cinnamon, cloves, and orange peel. This is the very last of it. It's a little yeasty because it's the very bottom.
I was gonna say the bottom, kind of like the bottom of the mummy sarcophagi.
Oh yeah,
Drink the mummy juice. You know, if we had drank the mummy
last glass
juice.
of it. But this shit is good as hell. And now that I have emptied this jug, that means I can start a new batch. If I, the next time I get to the store and get some honey, I will do that.
Yeah, soon.
Yeah.
So Jeff, I just wanted to ask Jeff if he'd had a chance to play. I saw on Steam earlier, I saw a little pop-up that said that Jeff had been playing the Resident Evil.
Jeff.
mode. Jeff, did you play it too?
I downloaded it a half hour before the podcast, and I launched it and configured the graphics settings.
Dude,
the main menu looks cool.
So you did some PC gaming, is what you mean. You did some PC gaming.
Yeah. No, it's just the Resident Evil PC ports are weird. Like, it tells me I'm like 5 gigs over my VRAM limit, but apparently it's fine. So, PC gaming.
Yeah.
You want to play anything else, Jeff? Though, really quick.
No, I was in Mexico for like 10 days, and then I got home, and then, so yeah, it's been a while. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm hoping you get some more time very soon to keep
You
playing.
came back, and St. Patrick's Day was just
overtaking
the streets.
All those goddamn leprechauns in my way.
There's if anybody doesn't mind, there's one more game I wanted to quickly mention that I've been
Sure,
playing.
of course, I didn't mean to pull away.
No, you're fine, dude. I've been playing the Trials of Mana demo on my Switch Lite, and I gotta say, like, I wasn't all that high on the Switch version when I played it at PAX East. It didn't look good, it didn't run well, but it actually looks and runs much better in handheld mode, which I guess makes sense because it's a smaller screen. So all those pixels are a lot more compressed than they would be on my 55-inch television. But I mean, it's good. It's really good. It's aside from it looking and running better than the build I played at PAX East, not much has changed on that front. But it did potentially sell me more on a Switch version, seeing as how I exclusively play on handheld. I don't have a Switch that is dockable anymore. And aside from that, I've been playing a lot of Mario Kart and Fire Emblem.
Cool.
And Final Fantasy 14. That's what I got.
Cool. Justin, you were kind of touching on earlier that you've been playing some Resident Evil. Have you been playing anything else?
I have been playing Call of Duty Warzone quite a bit, and I've been playing with you, actually.
Yeah.
I've been playing a bit with Zach and Sam Tolbert, friend of the show, who we've recorded several things this week. We'll probably plug those again later.
You guys are crushing that stuff, by the way.
But yeah, it's a really fun battle royale. Like, there's a lot of like unique little mechanics that like on paper sound kind of ridiculous and extraneous, but actually make the flow of the game really fun. It's quick, it's easy to pick up and play. There's not as much, inventory management, and like there's little contracts and stuff that you can do to earn gear throughout the match that are kind of like a fun distraction, like when you're in that period where you don't really see anybody. The map's big. It's a really good time. I'm having a lot of so
is it squad based, Justin? Like,
so they just added solos this week.
Okay.
So there's two. The main battle royale mode is 3 person teams. And then there's the solo mode, and then there's like a big, large scale TDM kind of mode. That's kind of weird. I'm not too big of a fan of that. Called Plunder, but the battle royale modes are very fun. And I really enjoy. It's a very silly mechanic, but the gulag mechanic is super fun.
I'm sorry, hold on, wait. The gulag mechanic?
So,
Yes.
yeah. So,
I've
the
heard about
first
this.
time you get killed, you don't actually get booted from the game. You get captured and thrown into the gulag. And then everybody...
Oh, I don't know why that's funny, but it is.
John, it gets better. So, and then everybody that is in the gulag is on, like, this little balcony watching 2 people in the middle. And the 2 people in the middle do a 1v1 gunfight. The winner gets to respawn. and then the people on the sides can throw rocks at the people that are duking it out in the middle.
But that's fucking great.
But like Justin and I were talking about this earlier the week. One of the things that makes this mode work so well is BR, even in Fortnite, can be kind of punishing for people who are new players, and it feels like the barrier to entry is extremely low in Warzone, and it's excessively forgiving because even if you lose in that Gulag 1v1 fight, you still have an opportunity for your team to find enough money when they're looting to bring you back and drop you into game. Like it just feels like a game that keeps giving you a ton of chances.
Yeah.
And you don't do that thing like you do in PUBG sometimes where you end up watching your friends play for 25 minutes. Warzone has been a really, really interesting addition to Modern Warfare.
And then also it has like a lot of options for like looting up. Like there are places where you can go, or you can buy the ability to use one of your like custom multiplayer loadouts. And get those if you don't want to just loot and stuff. So
does that stuff carry over? Does that stuff carry over from battle to battle? Okay.
Oh no.
No. Not the stuff that you loot, but you get the ability to call in your like pre-made loadout.
Oh, okay. I got you.
But yeah, so like there's a lot of different ways to gear up. There's a lot of different ways to bring your teammates back and to respawn. It just kind of has a different flow and feels a bit more forgiving and fast-paced than some other BRs. I'm really impressed with it. I'm having a very good time.
Yeah, it's very cool. And like the last thing I'll say before I throw to Reb and Derek to talk about what they've been playing. One of the things that's cool is, well, it's not cool. Given current situations, a lot of data caps have been lifted from internet providers. If you are one of those people who has their data cap lifted, you can actually download Modern Warfare Warzone for free. It's free to play, which is actually like a huge twist that was kind of unexpected. Is that it does bundle into Modern Warfare, but it's free to play. So if you have a data cap that's been lifted for current events, you can actually download like the 80 gigs it is as a new download, which is just a ridiculous beefy size.
It's enormous.
So hold on, wait. Just to clarify, you don't need the base game to download this, though.
No,
right?
no.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
You don't have to. So it's cool. It's free to play. But yeah, I mean, I've been playing that and Ori is extremely good and sweet, and I like it a lot. It's very pretty. But Reb, what have you been playing?
Yeah, that's a good transition, Zach. So we did talk about Ori last week. I have finished it now.
Nice.
I beat it. I'm not going to spoil it. This is not a spoiler cast for Ori. The thing that I will say that is not spoilery about the ending is that I saw the ending coming fairly about midway through the game. Like there's a point where I received some information, and I, partially because I know the series, partially because I know how storytelling works, I was able to go, this is probably where this is going, and it's going to, it's going to give me emotions. And I thought, I'll probably tear up a little, but I don't think this is going to get me the way the first Ori did. I was extremely wrong. I was correct about what was coming, but I was wrong about how hard it would hit me. Ori and the Will of the Wisps continues in studios is like the tradition that they have started to establish with Blind Forest of really just incredible, beautiful storytelling that just fucking hits you right in all the right places in your gut at exactly the right time. And the music just, God, Gareth Coker is fucking mean with that music. He just punches you with those themes at just the right times. It's a genuinely beautiful game. It's still struggling on certain platforms because there's technical whatever. So what I would recommend is maybe hold off for right now if you're playing it for the first time. If you've not played Blind Forest, play that first because that game is running great. But maybe hold off on Will of the Wisps until they fix the tech stuff. But once they do, like, that game is incredible. I think I finished it about 13 hours, and I basically 100% of the game. Like I didn't quite have the map 100% uncovered. Like I had little corners here and there that were not done, but I did all the quests and did everything, and it was about 13, 14 hours. So I love that game.
You gotta figure. Oh, by the way, Reb, that seems like a good deal longer than the first Ori.
Yeah, it was. It is.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I feel like that's the sweet spot, though.
Yeah.
Just
So that was the thing. That was the main thing that I'm playing. So next week we've got Animal Crossing and Doom. I do have another game that I should have been playing this week, but I haven't because this week has been busy. That I have a little bit early. That I don't know if I can divulge that if I have, but let's say that I need to take out my VR headset here in a minute. So that I will talk about next week. But the other game that I haven't played recently, but I played like 2 months ago, and I haven't gotten to talk about it yet because the embargo didn't lift, is The Longing.
Yes, I've been waiting for this.
So I'm gonna fucking spoil this game for everybody. Is anybody not okay with that?
No, please.
If you are not okay
Just
with
make
me
sure you explain what that game is too.
Yeah, if you are not okay with me spoiling The Longing, if you are currently playing it and don't wanna know, like, please come back in like 5-6 minutes or something. So The Longing is a game by Studio, I can't pronounce it, Seufz, S-E-U-F-Z, I think. It means sigh, like a sigh. It's their debut game. They were nominated for an IGF last night. They didn't win, but they were nominated. It's quite a good game. It's a game where there's this underground mountain king. He's this giant, like mountain king, giant big guy. At the start of the game, he opens his hand. He creates this tiny little like shade. It's the shade. But they basically look like Gollum from Lord of the Rings, but all covered in soot. And he says, okay, I need to come back into my power. I'm too weak. I need to go to sleep for 400 days. At the end of the 400 days, wake me up. That's your job. You stay here and wake me up in 400 days. And he goes to sleep. And you're left on your own. And you have a little tiny hovel with like an armchair and like 2 books. And a clock starts ticking down at the top of the screen for 400 real-time days. And it ticks down even when you are not in the game. So if you close one day and open the next, a day has gone by. And you just go. So you can there are different endings depending on how you approach the game, and there are different ways to approach the game. So you can just close the game, presumably, and open it up in 400 days having done nothing and wake up the king. And that is one ending. I don't know what that ending is, but you could presumably do that.
Can Animal Crossing? Can you set the dates forward in your computer, like the internal clock? Is there a way to do that?
You can, and it gives you a bad ending if you do that.
Oh no!
I did not do this myself, so I can't confirm this. But I hear that you basically get sent to like jail or something for doing that. Like I don't really know how it works because I didn't cheat, but I hear that there's a bad ending for doing.
I love that. Okay, go on. Sorry.
That's cool. So the other thing you can do is you can start to explore, and as you explore the caves, you will find basically kind of the remnants of this old mountain kingdom, and you will find like tidbits and stuff, and you will find things to decorate your little hovel with. So you start out with like an armchair, a ratty rug, and a couple books, and you can find pieces of paper and like different colors of charcoal to draw with, and he can draw art and hang up the art in his little home. You can find more books, and the thing is, when you have books, you can sit in your armchair and read them, and he will read them and sit there in real time. So like one of the first books you get is Moby Dick, and he will sit there, and you can just let him sit there and read Moby Dick, and the full text of Moby Dick is in the game. And if you want to sit there and read Moby Dick with him, you can just fucking do that. Like that's just or he'll automatically read on his own if you like close the game, and he'll like get a certain distance. He'll get through the book if you let him. So you can do that. You can find more comfortable things. You can find more rugs. You can find some curtains. There's like a bust or like a horse head, like a trophy horse head that you can find and hang on the wall. It's very stupid. I think it's just a joke. But you can, and then you can find other things too. Like there's a place, you can eventually find a pickaxe, and if you get a pickaxe, you can mine for coal, and then if you get enough coal, you can start a fire and have a little cozy crackling fire while you're reading your book. You can dig further down into the cave. You can open up a stream and have the nice flowing sound of running water, and that makes them happy. You can do all these, you can like create an area for growing mushrooms. You can eventually build a bed that you can sleep in. And all of these things that you do to your little hovel make time go faster while you're in it. So at first, time goes at the same speed when you're sitting in there as it does outside. Like it just ticks by second by second. But once you start to make it more comfortable and make it feel more like home, it starts going faster and faster. I think I was at the point at the end of the game where 10 seconds were passing for every real second. And that happens even when you close the game. So if you close the game with him in there, then one day might pass, but you might come in and several days have actually passed. And so it can speed up the speed at which you beat the game.
That seems kind of cathartic for...
Yes. It's oddly timely in a way that I hadn't thought of until right before this podcast when we were deciding what we were going to talk about, what we were not going to talk about. But yeah, so you can do that, and that's another ending. And then the thing that I did is you can also explore, because as you're exploring, the shade will drop little comments, and these little comments will be things like, oh, how I love the king, or wow, my existence is meaningless, and all these other things, because he's basically, I mean, you get the impression from him, I mean, it's true, he is this creature who's created for the sole purpose of doing nothing for 400 days, and then waking up this king who he does not know, and theoretically is supposed to serve, and you don't know, the king says when he creates you, he says when he wakes up in 400 days, he is going to put an end to all the longing, and you don't know what that means, and it's so strange. Yes, John?
I have a question for you, Reb.
Yeah.
I had heard that there were some Lovecraftian overtones.
That's where I'm going next.
Okay.
So here's a little bit of a content
Mhm.
warning from here. There's a section I'm going to talk a little bit in very vague terms about self-harm and suicide. There is a section in the game, and this was a really hard section for me, and I still actually don't fully know how I feel about it. So you can explore the caves, and you can eventually start to work your way up. And as you work your way up, or theoretically, if you're moving up from underground, you're going towards the surface, right? And the idea is you're trying to help the shade escape. In the palace, in the area where you start, and it's very bright and light, and everything is beautiful and carved out. But the further up you go, the darker and darker it gets. And eventually, you get if you solve enough puzzles and you wait. A lot of the puzzles are based on waiting. So like, there's a place that you can't cross until you wait for this trickle to fill up a pool so you can swim across. So a lot of the puzzles you have to see it and then wait like days or weeks or even months for a puzzle to unlock, and then you finish it and you move forward. But if you get to the top, you eventually go to this place and it's pitch black and it's dark. It's dark, dark, dark. You can't see anything and you keep moving forward. And you come out on the other side and there's a giant cliff and you can stand at the edge of the cliff. And if you stand there, you have the option to throw yourself off and kill yourself. And that is presumably an ending of the game. And when I saw that, it freaked me the fuck out because I didn't like it. I didn't like that this game had given me the option of just absolute despair in the face of like this strange hopeless situation. Like had given me the option to actually embrace that hopelessness. I didn't like that it gave me that. And I saw that option and I walked the fuck back because no. And I went back to my little cave and I was trying to figure out what to do with this information because I thought that by going upwards and by climbing towards the top, I was trying to escape. I was acting in a hopeful manner. I was not acting in a despairing manner. And I was really frustrated that the game did this to me. But I kept playing and I got these hints. There's a face on the wall that you can give things to and he will give you these hints. And at one point he says something about how like the only way through the darkness is to like become the darkness. And I couldn't figure that out. And the only way to go through the darkness is to like sit in quiet contemplation or whatever. I don't know. But I left the game alone for a while and I walked away and I did something else and I came back and the shade had sat down and had been thinking to himself. And he had this dialogue tree. And in the dialogue tree, he has these options where you can kind of choose his thought patterns. And you can, excuse me, I'm busy right now. No thanks. And you can kind of shape his thought patterns. And you can either say things that are hopeless and be like, no, you just have to stay here and do what the king says. It's pointless. Don't bother. Or you can say things like, no, I deserve better than this. I should try to escape. It's okay if I try to make something better for myself. And those are the options I chose. And by choosing those, he gained the ability to, with a button press, if he stands still for long enough, to close his eyes, which sounds ridiculous. But now when I went into the dark area, he closes his eyes and he is now invisible because when you're in the darkness, only his eyes show up. He has become the darkness. And so by going through it, I went through it and I thought, oh, I'm going to get to the cliff and there's going to be something else there, right? Like that's going to be it. And I got to the cliff and the cliff was still fucking there. And I'm like, what the fuck? This is infuriating. I don't understand this puzzle. And so I closed my eyes again and I walked back away from it and he discovered a hidden passage in the darkness. And he starts climbing up and it's dark and I can't see anything. I am literally staring at a black screen holding the button to move in a direction for like 15 minutes with literally no clue that this is the right thing. And then all of a sudden I get a little message that says, I don't understand what's going on, but I think this is the right thing. And he just keeps going for minutes and minutes. And finally you see in the very corner, this little ray of light. And he comes out and he walks up and it's the top. It's like sunlight coming through like these stones that are blocking this entrance. And there is another puzzle to get out that I won't go through, but like he gets to the light and he walks out and he says, I have left the darkness behind me. And it was just this absolutely like beautiful moment. And I'm really frustrated because I think games that deal with despair and self-harm and suicide, I think it is extremely hard to do that in a game. And I think all media needs to treat that with a lot of sensitivity. I think games have an even harder time with it because games give player agency. And I think that it is incredibly complicated to try. I think we have to talk about these things. I don't think we just put a blanket ban on ever talking about these things in games. But I think it's incredibly difficult to talk about these things because by giving player agency to make those kinds of choices at all, you're essentially giving the player this kind of ability to do something that I don't know that they should have the ability to do or the ability to embrace in a game. I don't know that that's okay. But I also think that without the ability to have turned around and walked away from that the moment when I hit the light and he said I have left the darkness behind me would not have been as powerful.
You feel like it gave the moment more gravity, more meaning.
I think it did, but it's really hard for me because I don't actually know what the right answer is. And I do think that the game did specifically fail in the fact that up to that point, it was a fairly cozy game. It was a fairly, let's read some books by the fire and relax and wait for the king to wake up kind of game. And it really took me by surprise when I first saw it. And I don't think games should catch people by surprise with that stuff. There was no content warning on this game. I did not know that was coming. And I don't struggle with those kinds of things personally. It fucked me up a little bit. And I could see how that could fuck up other people quite a bit worse who do struggle with those things. So it's like, a really hard thing to talk about, but I really, really liked this game, and it's stuck in my head. And that it does have a good ending, like a couple more endings after that. There are a few more things. It's more detailed than I necessarily want to get into, but I did get the good ending, and it was lovely, and it was a really lovely game, and I really like it, and I want people to play it, but I'm also very cautious about recommending it to people for that reason.
It's one of those things where, to me, as somebody who hasn't played it, the way you described like navigating darkness and becoming darkness and going through it, and then like how that juxtaposes, like how that puzzle poses with the cliff, feels like it works to me. But I think, like, to me, it sounds absolutely right that like it feels weird that they would have something like that without a content warning. Especially like I feel like indie games more and more are trying to be more cognizant of things like that, like maybe AAA wouldn't be. But I mean, that sounds. Give me a reminder. Where can people play this right now?
This is on Steam right now. It's called The Longing. I don't think it's super expensive. It's honestly probably on some Steam sale at this point. Justin.
So just kind of going off that tangent, like that, it's something like that topic of like, you know, surprising people with something like that. Versus having a content warning is something like I've gone back and forth on like a lot. Because, like, sometimes, like, I've seen, like, short stories where they put a content warning on it, and it's like, well, you just spoiled your whole story because I was bracing for this content that you told me about. You know, it kind of ruined the impact of it, but on the other end, you know, there's people that really should have it. Like, this is something I've grappled with for a long time, and it's something that I think is really hard to deal with, especially when you're dealing with storytelling versus, you know, telling a story that is rooted in reality or something like that. I don't think there's any right or wrong answer to it.
I mean, I think there is.
I think you do.
Discussion. I think in the end, you do have to err on the side of taking care of people, right? That's kind of where I come down. Another good example of this from somewhat recently is actually Doki Doki Literature Club. That game starts with a big fat content warning. And that one's a real weird one because the first about couple hours of the game they're so chill. It's just a nice little, you know, dating sim, whatever. And you don't really have any inkling that something is wrong except for the content warning. Literally, the content warning is the thing that has you on edge the whole time because you're like, wait, where the fuck is this gonna come in? I don't understand. And then if you know Doki Doki Literature Club, you know exactly the moment I'm talking about. That fucking happens. And if that warning hadn't been there, that fucks you up no matter what. But if that warning hadn't been there, that would have really fucked people up, and that would not have been fair. Like, no. So yeah, it's just hard. I don't know. I think this one could have dealt with it in a very particular way because I think it's not. It is a little bit shocking, but I think that there are signs at different points in the game that it is going to go in a certain way. It's going to deal with despair, and so I think it could have given some kind of warning at some point. Yeah, but it's just it's interesting, and I don't know what the right answer is. I want someone to write about it. Who has experience on that front. I do not have the kind of experience that is needed to write intelligently about that topic. John.
Yeah. You know, I just want to chime in here real quick. As somebody who has in the past very openly struggled with suicidal thoughts, the first time that I had ever actually experienced anything like that in a game, and I apologize, I'm going to bring up Final Fantasy VI here, but it was Final Fantasy VI. When there's a moment where you know, after Kefka destroys the whole world, Celeste throws herself off a cliff because she doesn't. What's that?
That section's hard.
It is, and I first played it when I was 15. And there's no content warning. This is before the days of content warnings and stuff like that. But there was no player choice there, right? Like this was a scripted story moment, which you know, obviously, you know, she survived and she decided she found newfound strength and you know the willpower to carry on. But I feel like those moments, if they're scripted, give them far more weight as opposed to, because I mean, like Reb, you've played Final Fantasy VI. Like, imagine if you just been able to walk Celeste away from the cliff.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean,
No.
But it's hard
I'm
because
actually agreeing with you. I don't think
No, I know you
I
are.
don't think that's a choice that should be able to be made.
Well, but see, now I'm going back on it, and I can't remember what game it was. There's a game very recently. Oh God, hold on. It's right in the fucking title. The Suicide of Rachel Foster. I haven't played that. I'm just gonna sorry guys, I'm just gonna fucking spoil the ending of that. At the end, the main character just fucking kills herself. Like, that's the end of the game. And you don't have a choice. Well, no, the main character is not Rachel Foster.
Oh, never mind.
Incidentally. But yeah, but that's really, you don't have a choice in that. It's just scripted, and it ends up being a really fucking stupid ending. It's not good. That's not a good way to end it. And again, that's different. It's like apples to something else right now. Like, it's not. It's really hard, is what we're saying. It's really difficult.
I think
I
tone
want people to
matters
I want people
a lot.
to be able to deal with these things, but you really have to have a particular kind of sensitivity to it. I think the longing comes very close to dealing with it in a sensitive way. I think there are some things that I would have done better. I think it handles it pretty well. I do think the other thing that bothers me about it is once you have an ending, that is the end. There is a way to reset the game. It's a little bit involved. You could Google it and figure it out. But when you have an ending, that is the intended ending, and you're supposed to leave it. And so I think that's kind of both a dissuading factor in doing something like throwing your main character off a cliff. But it also means that it kind of discourages you from just making that choice lightly to be like, oh, it's an ending, I wonder what happens. Like video game logic, right?
Yeah.
But it does mean that in other cases where you get bad endings through other means, you don't really have as much of an option of resetting and seeing something else. And that's the thing that I'm struggling with right now is I got the good ending of the game, but I'm really curious what happens if I wait 400 days and wake up the king. I don't know what happens when he gets up and ends all longing. I don't have the answer. I guess in the sort of weird thematic way, the longing has ended because I'm no longer waiting to see what the end of the game is. But it's that that's it, right? Like, the longing is wondering what happens.
I'm really curious as to what happens now.
I thought the metagame was really funny because the reviewers were given the code 2 months in advance, and I finished it in like a month and a week or so. And so I had 3 weeks where I just could not fucking talk about this game. That was the fucking longing, guys.
Okay, Derek.
Sorry I took up a lot of time with
No,
that.
you're fine.
Okay.
Derek, you have waited so long to tell us what
Derek
you've
has
been
waited.
playing.
So, that's the real longing. Is Derek waiting to talk
Derek,
about
I
what
wanna
games
know
he's
what
been
you've been
playing?
I'm just
playing,
happy
and
to be here.
Yeah. All right.
So it's been so for those who do not know, and I've been kind of open with it. I am under quarantine. Martha was potentially exposed at work, and I obviously was potentially exposed through her because we did not find out until later that she had been exposed. She's actually. I know downer stuff, but I've been home. I've had so much fucking time to play video games, which is a big contrast from all this time before now, the like month and a half where I didn't play a single video game, and it was very, very sad. So I've gotten to like burn through a bunch of stuff. I have started multiple big games that I really should not have done right before Doom came out. I started Jedi Fallen Order, which I'm enjoying so far quite a bit. It gives me a lot of flashbacks to like the era of like Dark Forces and like that era.
It feels old in a good way.
Yeah, there's some
Yeah.
like real Nintendo 64 ass level design going on, and I like that. It's
Yeah,
good.
it's good.
It's gamey. It's straightforward. It's comfortable, and it's everything about Star Wars that I like out of Star Wars. Familiar music cues and visual cues, and it doesn't feel like it's trying to be too overly clever with itself. It's Star Wars. So I've enjoyed that. I also started Middle-earth Shadow of War, which I didn't even realize I owned, because I like Shadow of Mordor.
I'm really sorry to hear that, Derek.
Wow. Rude. First off, the game's fine. It's good.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's as good, if not maybe a little better than Shadow of War, which I enjoyed. And I'm enjoying it for the bits that I'm picking it up and playing it and putting it back down again. And then I have been comfort playing Heroes of Might and Magic 3 again, which is like old. Like, when was that game? I mean, I remember playing that on PCs like way long time ago. I'm having to use a mod to play it in HD, so that should tell you that it's old. It's this lovely old high fantasy, very 1999. It's a 21-year-old.
I was 4.
Yeah, 21-year-old PC game. It's hard as shit. But it's,
yeah, it is.
It's lovely. The sprite work and artwork in it is really good. The writing and world building in it's a lot of fun. It's nearly impossible to play without cheating at least a little bit, unless you're just like stupidly good at strategy games. But I also found out that I had been taking the campaigns in the wrong order this whole time and starting with the hardest set of campaigns. So, like, I don't know how it took me 20 years to figure out which order to play this fucking game in, but it's been a much smoother experience. So, and none of those are going to matter because in 2 hours and 15 minutes, Doom is going to exist, and it's going to unlock, and I'm just going to burn through it, and I will rip and I will tear until it is done.
Derek, can I just say this week, as we've been in these work from home schedules, I have been working on my desktop, which is where I put my games. And as I'm logged in doing work, I actually still get the Origin notifications that you're playing Fallen Order and Mass Effect 3.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm living through you. Like, I see that notification as I'm in Slack and I'm working in a Google Doc and I'm posting to, like, WordPress.
Yeah.
In this nightmare scenario that I'm living in.
Because I've also been streaming Mass Effect.
And I'm like, oh, I wonder which planet he's on.
I'm still really early. I'm still just on Zephyr.
I get to see Zach there absorbing it.
Listen, I like that game a lot, and like Derek,
good.
you and I are on the opposite schedule, so I love seeing you. I love seeing you getting on and play, buddy.
Yeah, I also it's been even wilder because I'm not working right now. I can't work from home, so I'm on quarantine with no job. So all I can do is sit here, and I've done all the housework and yard work, y'all. I took a rake to my backyard and tore the ground up and laid new grass seed. Like,
yeah, but how are those gutters looking?
I don't have a ladder, so I can't. I do have gutters. I don't have a ladder, so I can't do anything about that yet.
Probably need to
Climb
clear
the
those
nearest
gutters up,
tree
bud.
and jump.
Yeah, I did clean them after fall, so there shouldn't be too much more in there. But yeah, I obviously I sent a photo to the crew in our Discord thing, but I got a new desk that I had already ordered from before all this happened, and I built a new desk, and I redid my whole office, which is why I'm on a different camera setup tonight. But like, there's just only so much that you can do.
Totally.
And so I've watched like a bunch of shows. Like, I burned through a season of Marvelous Miss Maisel and the new season of Castlevania, and Beastars came out. So
Ooh, how's Castlevania?
I only
season
watched
3
season 1.
Season 3 is real good.
Season 3 is good.
Simultaneously, nothing happens and everything happens. And Castlevania is another great example of, like, there's stuff in season 3 in particular that's not good. That's very content warning necessary, but Castlevania doesn't give you a content warning. But like,
no.
That's also, it's okay kind of, because if you've made it to season 3 of Castlevania, you know kind of what you're into, and the tone
Also,
is everything.
Just a note, season 3 of Castlevania has the most like trashy fanfic level of
guys,
I have ever seen in like an official release.
Yes. Oh no. So multiple people have noted in the chat there is a bisexual threesome in one of the episodes. Alucard both fucks a man in his ass and gets fucked in his ass. Like it.
I mean,
yeah. And
if everyone's cool with it,
everyone is cool with it.
One character's entire
the two might be siblings. It's not clear. That's not okay.
Somebody screen cap Zach. Somebody in chat screen cap Zach.
But
please.
I don't
do
think
they know that they're siblings?
I don't think the show makes it clear whether they're siblings or not. Everyone is saying that they are.
I thought they were until that happened, and then I'm not sure.
I'm realizing that I don't think the show was explicit that they were. It's very possible that we're falling to the. It's very possible we're falling into the unfortunate assumption that two similar aged, like somewhat similarly drawn characters of the same non-white ethnicity must be siblings because they grew up kind of together in the same situation. And
no.
I don't know. Well, but they
I
have
haven't seen it yet. I don't know
yeah.
what you're talking about, but no.
They have a big brother and
look a
sister
lot
vibe.
alike.
They have a big
Derek-
brother and sister vibe.
Derek,
It's a
I'm
lot.
getting an vibe.
It's,
Jeff,
it's not great.
By the way, hold on. One character's entire arc for this season is a femdom arc.
Yeah!
I'm not even exaggerating.
Yeah,
It's-
no, that's true.
It is. It's not subtext.
It's
It is
canon.
overt text.
It's canon. Hector's a
Fucking
sub
weird
and he
sex
fucks like a
and
god.
An anime that is popular,
Yeah,
like
I'm all about it.
broadly popular.
There is a black lesbian vampire.
Good.
It's
Hell
great.
yeah.
in this economy,
Yeah.
guys get what you can get.
Make
when you want it.
everything really gay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
sure.
Yeah.
Please.
But seriously, quick thing, Derek, that's gonna get an from me.
No, it's not ideal. We don't know for sure. We don't. I don't think it's clear.
I'm gonna err on the side of
Yeah. They technically never do anything to each other. They just both do
Watching
things
the
to
evolutions
Alucard
of
at
watching the
same
evolution
time.
of Zach's face during the brother sister talk was nothing short of riveting for me. So thank you for that.
We need to move
Oh,
the fuck
Imran
on.
says it's confirmed they're not siblings, so it's okay. It's
Okay, there we go. We're good.
Good.
All right.
But anyway, so my
reverse.
point is, I can only watch so many shows of all these different things and also play all these different games and do all this housework, and I still have time to just sit around going like, maybe I should marathon all the fucking Jackass movies. I don't know. Like,
No, you should not do that.
What-
why
But
not?
Derek-
Jackass is great.
Derek, what season of House Hunter International you're on? Because I assume you're halfway through. Right?
I have not watched House Hunter International.
Fucking with you.
What are you even fucking doing, Derek?
Playing a lot of Heroes of Might and Magic 3 because it takes like 2 hours for a single campaign mission.
Okay,
I
I,
am.
feel like
I'm on
go ahead, Rob.
vacation next week because I had a vacation plan and I'm still going forward with the vacation. So I'm going to be somewhat in your boat for most of next week, and I'm looking forward to doing a very, very deep clean of my entire apartment and watching just a lot of things that I am way backed up. I'm gonna finish Letterkenny. I'm gonna watch
Castlevania's so
Castlevania. I'm gonna
good.
finish up Letterkenny. I think I'm behind on some form of Great British Baking Show, so we'll see.
I really badly wanted also, because I finished season 3 of Castlevania and there's some great references to like both like really common Castlevania shit. Like there's some great recurring enemies and bosses that you'll recognize immediately. And also like characters and locations that are a bit more like specific to games most people haven't played. But like it's big Castlevania fan fest and it's done. And I'm sitting here going, I really want to replay Castlevania. I have played and beaten every single Castlevania game in the last 3 years.
Oh, check
I've
out fucking
replayed
Pro
all
Gamer
of
Derek
them.
over here with all
I've
his Castlevania
replayed all
games.
of them because of Castlevania the show has made me want to replay them. So there's not a Castlevania game that I can point at and go, oh, but I beat that in the last year or two, So
It's time to pick up Bloodstained Ritual of the
but
Night.
I beat that! And that's not
That's a
that
good
old,
fucking
so, I just don't have a lot. I did play and beat Castlevania 2 again. I didn't enjoy it that much.
I was gonna say that's really unfortunate.
Yeah. Circle
Derek?
of the Moon, yeah. What?
Derek, are we ready? Can you shepherd us into
I
our
love
very
Curse of
brief,
Darkness, Imran.
our very brief art contest?
Yes.
Ah, yes.
So we asked people on Twitter, and we did not have a ton of time, but we got a couple entries anyway, and we appreciate everyone who entered. But we asked people to draw their favorite, or not draw their favorite. Our mascot Saki words. I've had a decent amount of rum. Please forgive
Do you want me
me.
to explain what this was?
No, it's better if I do it at this point because I am tipsy. We asked people to draw fan art of Saki crossing over with Animal Crossing and Doom. And we would award an Xbox One code for Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which was lovely, and I cried at the end of, and it was a big, beautiful sad, and my girlfriend had to stop working in the other office and come to check on me because I was crying and it was audible.
Oh yeah, same.
Yeah.
I mean, not the girlfriend part, but the
right.
crying part.
The drunk crying.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I have here our winner, And our winner is I believe the username was Snowpoke.
I think so.
Yeah.
Was it Snowpoke?
It's this artwork, is what I can tell people.
Yeah. And
That's
It's pretty good.
yeah. That
Look, that's a whole look.
That's
On the no time that we gave people, that is so much better than I have the ability to create myself
actually
in infinite time.
I
So-
love that. It looks like it looks like Doom Guy's just like reclining. He's just hanging out. Like it's a sultry pose.
I like the implication that when Saki opens its mouth, a beam of deathlight comes out. That's lore. I
The
didn't know we
implication
had.
is that Saki is a demon.
No, I've been saying this for years. Saki is an eldritch being.
I like that we can
That-
say this because Finn ain't here.
Yeah.
That's lore. No, that's STGC lore.
Yeah.
I
is
feel
what
like
that
if
is.
I feel like by
It's
awarding this,
Finn's
we're
fault that
officially
he
setting
made
up
the
lore.
mascot that's a sock and his wife the same thing. That's really on Finn.
It is.
It is on Finn. It's none of us made our wives a sock.
Yeah.
Anyway,
No.
we will be reaching out after the show to give Snowpoke a copy of the game. Derek, do we have a way to show second place from T-Man?
I can
we
if
don't,
you give
it's
me
okay.
the briefest of moments.
Sure. Okay,
hang
I
on a
will talk.
second here.
So T-Man really
Oh yeah, no, sorry,
embodied-
T-Man. You're getting yeah.
You're getting
T-Man
some
really
love.
embodied. T-Man really embodied the essence of having artistic vision, but not necessarily.
Yeah,
and
that's
I'm the same way, and I'm the same way. Not really being
Hang on,
able
let me
to
blow this up.
execute a full colored image, but that doesn't mean what he made isn't beautiful.
No,
And
it's
I respect it.
it's art in its own way. Oh, there you go. Blow that up.
That
or-
is
blow
straight
that
up a
real
penis,
good.
though, y'all.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
T-Man.
that part is a little.
T-Man, there's
I
no
don't
way you didn't
think
know.
T-Man intended it.
No,
though.
no, I don't think he
That's
did
the
that.
underside of a
Wasn't the
frenulum right there. That is a dick from below.
That is and by the way, I just want to point out it looked I at first I didn't realize that was Doom Guy. I thought it was a guy in a welding mask.
Will you stop
Uh,
criticizing everyone's art, John?
Be not,
No,
John,
I can't
think
draw.
it's
That's not what you
great.
thought it was.
This is
Celebrate.
10 times better than I could have
Celebrate
done.
the art. Celebrate the art.
Yeah,
I
Either
am
way-
celebrating it.
Either way,
I love how scared Isabel looks.
she should be.
Well.
The thing's never mind.
Jesus Christ.
absolutely not. Stop
Sorry.
it. Stop it.
Oh my God, you've had too much rum.
T-Man, we also appreciate your art. I will be reaching out after the show. We have a second place prize, and
We do.
we'll figure something out there. And going forward, we have a lot of stuff that we have amassed some codes, and right now it's the perfect time for us to kind of share those with people who are trying to stay inside and all that. So we will have more codes, and we will keep up with our Discord and also just our Twitter, and we'll find more ways to kind of give out some codes. I know especially we have stuff on PC and Xbox, but we'll have more stuff coming very soon.
We've got a ton of codes to give away for the next few weeks. We got a bunch of stuff. And by the way, a shout out to Xbox for providing those codes. Thank you. We really appreciate that.
Oh, also, I have to say, Microsoft sent me my code for Ori and the Will of the Wisps, independent of anything SDGC related. I have
Yes.
to just claim that. Sorry.
Microsoft did not send me my code, so me crying, just openly weeping, had nothing to do with me potentially being paid off, which is not how these things work anyway. But
You guys are saying a lot of things, and we need to not do that.
I have to. I'm obligated.
No, Reb, you're fine. No,
No.
it's okay. Okay,
Sorry.
we need to.
Alucard
it's okay.
fucks a man.
It's okay. Jeff, you've been very quiet tonight, and I need to know. Have you been able to follow this week? Listen, we need to get into our. This is our main.
yeah,
course
here, let's get to the
topic.
big the news
It has been
topic.
Our main topic, an hour into
Hey,
the hour.
that's
and a
fucked
half
by a
podcast.
Time for the
man.
What
meat.
to say about this? You all go.
Okay, Jeff, I need to hear from you because you've been very quiet. Have you had a chance to follow Xbox Series X specs? PS5 specs are out. I don't want to talk about the discourse. I'm not interested in what people in Reset Era are saying. Jeff, have you
What
been
the
able to
fuck?
follow?
You're not
any of
interested in
this?
what people in Reset Era?
No.
I know, what a
fuck?
shock.
Jeff, what do you got?
I appreciate it. I'm just tonight's like a good night for me to absorb information.
Okay,
I've
okay.
been out of I did not see anything about the Xbox stuff. What I got out of PS5 is less teraflops, super fast hard drive.
Teraflop.
That's about the extent of it.
Yeah.
Jeff, can you elaborate on the flops for us? Tell us about the flops.
I I don't know. They do graphics good.
They are Earth-like.
So
Yeah,
so
I have a better understanding of it than I let on, but it's I don't know. It to me like it's not just about the pure. We're just talking about the specs because it's all we have. But the reality is, with every console generation, it's about how the overall package for the system comes together and how this is used and how developers use it. On paper, the PS3 had an amazing processor, and it was a nightmare to develop for. So in the end, it didn't really matter. Games mostly ran like shit on it compared to the 360. I think the bottom line, like the thing I take away from this week, the consensus is both consoles are incredible. They're going to be super fast, and I think from the start of this gen, they're no longer going to be playing catch up for the next 7 years. They have a very good foundation to start from, and I think everyone wins no matter which one you're buying.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so the first thing I'll say is like there's a lot of tech talk going on, and we joke around like what. It's really complicated, and if you want to deep dive, there's articles all over the place. But also this week, Justin and I, and also Windows Central, Sam Tolbert, friend of the show. I'm not looking at the chat tonight, so he might be in the chat. But we've spent a ton of time this week deep diving the specs of both PS5 and Xbox Series X. We have like 2 hours worth of next gen content already on our like podcast platform. So if you guys want to listen to that, like you absolutely can.
Yeah, straight up, if you want to hear what me and Zach have to say, there is 2 hours of what we have to say.
The people want it.
Can you hi, it's me. This is the cat. Can you I don't give a shit about any of the tech stuff. Can you like summarize for me the parts that I should care about as someone who, as long as the game kind of runs, is fine?
Sure. So
Derek seems excited.
Oh, Derek, do you want to
up,
say
man?
it? Sorry.
Yes, because this is stuff I've been talking about for fucking ever, and I'm so excited that people are talking about it and beginning to understand it now. So the most important thing, aside from the jig and bits and the teraflops, is the change to the storage space on the consoles. They're using custom solid state storage instead of old school like platter style drives.
Platter style.
Well, yeah, like literally like
that's what
spinning
they are.
disc platters on
I
old
know.
hard
I'm
drives.
just thinking about
But
a
it's
big
a
old
funny
roast
word.
chicken
Big old plate,
inside my
big old
PS4.
plate full of chicken. But what? And Mark Cerny Dana Carvey did such a good job at explaining this during the actual presentation in terms that regular people can understand. But basically, you know how when you play a video game, think of any Naughty Dog video game.
Okay.
You know.
I played some Uncharted's, okay.
Yes, and you know how there's always at least 12 times where you get to a narrow crack in the wall that you have to spend 15 seconds turning sideways and sidling through?
Yeah, I love those.
Yeah. Those are there because
Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah, those are there because the game literally can't load into your system fast enough for you to just walk to the next area, and it needs to artificially slow you down so the next area can load. Every time you've wasted time sitting in an elevator in Mass Effect, you know, for 30 seconds waiting, you know, to get to the next floor or whatever, those things are there just to stop you so that the game can load things. Both of these consoles, I mean, the PlayStation 5's drive is faster, and they've done other back-end improvements, but the important thing is both of these systems are so much faster at loading resources from the drive into memory that theoretically it will be much easier to design games that do not need big stupid elevators and big stupid long staircases and holes to crawl through and wiggle your butt at the camera at and cracks in walls to slide through. You will not have as much broken uppedness ruining the pacing of your games. You will be able to just load things from here to here. There is also, I've seen a lot of people talking about how it will make things a lot easier on developers, because right now developers spend a lot of time programming around creative ways to stream information from the hard drive into the game and camouflage that. And if you have to spend less time worrying about that, then that's less solutions you're having to code. So, I mean, it's literally less labor for developers in that regard.
Okay.
It's very simplified, but it's less work for people working on video games, which in this very crunch-centric culture is always a good thing.
Absolutely.
Do you think I actually saw this take? It was related to some other technical thing. Actually, it was like a Google interview or like a Stadia team interview or something. But I saw someone talking about how better technology doesn't necessarily mean that developers won't crunch more. It means that they will push harder to do harder and harder things. Do you think that's necessarily true?
That can be true
okay.
depending on what it is that you're changing, right? So like one of the problems we've run into with the last two consoles is the need for, as we push to HD gaming and then 1080p and then 4K, and it's requiring higher and higher fidelity graphics, and people expect more out of games and people want to make bigger games, but the systems aren't prepared to actually deliver that. Like, it's been very one-sided. So this is not something that's likely to make things harder for developers, but it's also not a magic bullet that's going to fix a bunch of shit. It's just going to make things a little easier and give people more freedom. I'm going to stop talking because I think multiple people want to talk.
Yeah, I want to throw it to Jeff really quick, but my cynical take, to answer Reb really quickly, is like, my cynical take is that it'll make current bottlenecks easier, but I feel like management is going to move the goalpost so that crunch culture is going to continue. But I hope that that's not the case. That's my cynical opinion. Jeff, you had your hand up for a long time. What do you have, man? I'm sorry to kind of
No, it's fine. Yeah, I just wanted to elaborate on what Derek said. I think I've been very, I guess, unexcited about the new consoles, maybe just because they seem so far away, and also just because I know probably won't be able to afford them. But I play primarily on PC, and I like to think I'm not an elitist or a snob, but I've had a little bit of eye roll at all the talk about loading being a thing of the past and stuff, because we've been on solid state drives on PCs for many years, and it yes, they load almost instantly, but aside from that, the games are basically the same. And I think the thing that I realized this week that I've been really stupid and didn't even consider is Derek mentioned you don't have to squeeze through those cracks anymore. But it goes way beyond that. Like, basically what Cerny referred to is when you talk about level designers, half of the team is basically designing the level they want, and then the other half of the team is designing the level around the way that they have to. So this isn't just about eliminating those 20-second elevator rides or the ladders in God of War. This is changing the entire levels of games. So a game that a level that might have taken place entirely in a warehouse and had you going through corridors, you might never need to see a corridor in a video game again, and many people would be excited about that. So it's like,
but corridors,
yeah, but like it's like game developers have been designing these levels within a cardboard box inside of a giant room, and now they can actually use the entire room. But like you said, that just opens up a whole other box of worms. Like, okay, we can do all this. That's going to be a lot more work in some ways, and like you have to really rein in that scope and say, what are we actually able to achieve with the resources that we have? Because the technology doesn't limit you now; it's your time and your employees.
Yeah. One thing that is also really cool about that is, like, a couple examples from games I know from current generation that have had some features cut specifically because of the hard drive and read speeds are in Spider-Man, Marvel Spider. They actually had to cap Spider-Man's speed because if he moved any faster, it would cause issues with load. Horizon Zero Dawn prototyped being able to fly on some of the machines, and there just was no way to load the data fast enough. So I think there's some stuff like that that'll be really cool to see how games implement in the future.
And I think, Justin, like, you and I have been talking about this a lot for people who haven't been reading our content or listening to our content all week, but like, I think Sony's SSD is incredible, and I think that Sony first party, they're going to build games in ways that we could not even like fathom in a lot of ways. But I also think that Xbox's thing is still like no slouch at all, and I think it's actually super in line with like what's realistic for PC in the next 2 to 3 to 4 years. So like I think Microsoft's thing is more in line for what third party will probably build around so that they can cater to PC audiences too, because I think especially at launch, Justin, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that multi-plat games aren't going to be kneecapped by the Xbox One's SSD, or I'm sorry, the Xbox Series X SSD. They're going to be kneecapped by like keeping up with current gen PC. Is that about right?
It's going to be hard to say. Like, I'm not expecting major differences in anything cross-gen at all. Like, I think just the power level is being raised so much that we're not going to see like how these consoles really compare to one another until developers really shift over to like multi-platform, next-gen only development.
Totally. And honestly, like launch, especially around the launch window, we've this all week, but like dev tools are huge early on. So and word is Sony has great dev tools, which means that like differences are going to be especially negligible. Reb?
I have a really stupid question
not
for
gonna
when
be
you
stupid.
no, whenever you are done. I want you guys to talk about the stuff you want to talk about first.
I'm ready to hear from you unless somebody else has anything.
Okay. Why does Mr. Cerny want me to scan my head and send it to him?
Justin, please answer this.
That's a fetish thing,
I read
unfortunately.
that paragraph in the Eurogamer article like 5 times, and I don't understand why Mark Cerny needs a scan of my head.
Okay, so
Did you play L.A. Noire?
No.
Well, that's good because you're going to be in the sequel whether you like it or not.
So I am joking a little bit. Like I do like vaguely understand what is actually going on here. I'm not
okay.
like I do sort of understand it, but explain it to me, please, because it is sort of funny on its face.
No, it is very funny. Basically, Sony has this very, very advanced 3D audio chip that they're is implemented in the PlayStation. And when you boot it up and set it up, there's going to be like about 100 different like presets. They're going to basically quiz you on what you hear. Find the one that's closest to what you hear so that you hear the 3D positional stuff accurately.
It's something like rain, right? Like, so I hear like the tapping rain like around my head instead of just a rain sound.
Yeah. The picture of your ear thing is basically they're talking about various ways that they're going to improve it and customize it over time. And one of the ways they theorized was you take pictures of your ear and send them in, and they will run them through a neural network and customize your 3D audio profile.
You know, a lot of people are worried about having their fingerprints or their eyes or face scanned on some server owned by a private company. But have you ever considered sending your ear to a private company for them to store a database?
Well, the Eurogamer
if they
article
let me, I will.
specifically said scans of your entire head, which I thought was funny. I don't think he said that in the live showcase, but that was like a line that was in the Eurogamer article. And I thought that was very funny because I am just imagining people at Sony doing like phrenology on my head bumps or whatever.
The thing about that was what I actually liked about that part of the thing was that he set a baseline for what people should expect this year from that program. But it was also like, hey, this isn't going to be done and ready when we ship. Like, this is something that we're going to, like, he was actively like, we're experimenting with this thing and we're going to see what comes of it. And, like, I kind of, like, that's something that absolutely belongs in a GDC talk.
Yes.
But was also especially weird on a consumer-facing thing because it's like, homie, you're trying to pitch, like, somebody who you know, is a super casual consumer and that's totally okay. But, like, they're going to be like, what the fuck? It was a great GDC talk.
Yeah.
I wish they had pivoted a little bit more in terms.
I'm goofing on them a little bit. I mean, I do understand
100%.
like sort of it vaguely. I mean, I'm glad that Justin explained it a little bit more to me.
Totally.
I mean, I have infinite sympathy for them. They were pulling out of PAX East and GDC long before everyone else. I think they saw the writing on the wall long before everyone else did. And I think that I don't know. I'd have to actually Google the news, but I can't remember how long Sony has been keeping people at home. I suspect that there were many logistical reasons why they couldn't just take this GDC talk and turn it into something a little more consumer friendly. I do, you know, just sort of wonder like what that situation is, but I think it's fine. I think it was boring as hell to a lot of people, but also I'm pretty sure the Google Stadia launch explanation was boring as hell to a lot of people in a way, and that was a similar thing. That was a GDC talk.
I think that in a world where Microsoft, I mean, there's just two different approaches here. And Microsoft is like, there's still something that Microsoft could absolutely be doing better. But I think one of the things is just, it juxtaposes weird when Microsoft, like 2 days prior, was like, hey, don't take our word for it. Listen to Digital Foundry, who like has proven their track record for the last 5 years. Like, it was just, it's like honestly, the contrast is what hurt them there. And like, I don't blame Sony because like Sucker Punch, Last of Us, like all of these studios are grinding out to wrap up their end of gen games right now. Like they don't have time to do tech demos. John?
So I just wanted like this was obviously, in my opinion, anyway, something that was meant for GDC.
Objectively, that's what it was.
Yes,
for.
yes,
Yeah.
it was.
That's exactly what it
100%.
was.
Yeah, and so they're like, okay, well, GDC is no more. We've got to talk about the specs for this thing. I just want to give a shout out to the fake crowd in front of Mark Cerny. That to me was a little bit.
Apparently they were real.
Were they
I didn't
real?
think they were.
No.
I mean, sure. So were the
They
guys
had
at
to be
MST3K. So
Someone told me they were on a loop.
I had heard they were on
I
a loop
cannot
as well.
verify this.
Oh,
I heard
that
on a
would.
loop, that was from Giant Bomb, is who I heard from.
Can
They
we?
that would
had
be
to have been
funny.
fake.
There
They
was
had to have been
crowd
fake.
noise.
No.
No, but I mean, dude, I think that crowd noise was audio. That was just looped audio, man. Like it wasn't. It was, yeah, no, that was not a real crowd, dude. So no, like I've got this. I just had this mental picture of Mark Cerny up there talking to like an audience full of cardboard cutouts, like.
Can we discuss the extremely silly thing that happened on that same day, which was okay. So simultaneously, this is all happening at the exact same time. Microsoft has a talk on their Mixer channel or whatever, and I can't remember exactly what it was called, but it was basically something like Xbox talking about the Xbox Series X or whatever. And they do this talk, and I did not watch this talk personally. My editor was covering it for us, Brendan. He watched it, and all I'm getting is this stream of Slack messages from him about how boring this talk is and how it is not what he thought. I think he went into it thinking we were going to get some news about the Xbox Series X. And we did not get that. It was apparently not a useful talk in any way at all. Simultaneously, while this talk about the Xbox, allegedly about the Xbox Series X is going on a product page, Microsoft changes their release date to Thanksgiving 2020.
It was a translation thing. It didn't change it.
They,
It was
No.
a translation on a foreign page.
No, it was on. I saw it. It was on the American page. It said at the very bottom of the screen, Thanksgiving 2020, coming Thanksgiving 2020. That is exactly what it said.
Okay.
I like saw it when it was live. So
they
that
changed
happened.
it pretty quick.
So that happened, and everybody started reporting on it. And then Mr. Major Nelson comes out and says, guys, it was an accident. It's actually holiday 2020, which one, Thanksgiving's a fucking holiday. Two, but we just saw the art. Like it wasn't text. It was definitely like art that someone
art.
had designed. Like someone had very
Yeah.
specifically designed Thanksgiving 2020.
Yeah.
So-
Again, sorry, I didn't mean to be like, well, actually,
No, you're good.
I was trusting Larry's thing because Larry's tweet right
yeah,
here
I know.
is
His tweet tries to imply
inaccurately
that it's like,
listed
in
a
certain
launch date in
regions.
some regions.
Yeah, no. It
Yeah.
was fucking just on the product page. for
Again,
Xbox
when
Series X.
the original link that I clicked was like it was the India page in US was the page I had seen it. I'm not saying you were wrong. That's the page I saw, so I didn't mean to project.
No,
I'm sorry. I
you're
didn't
good.
mean
You're
to,
good.
actually.
But it was
Okay.
just on there. But
Yeah.
I think that it's hilarious that all of that kind of like that all happened at the same time, and they're trying to play it off like it wasn't.
We've, Justin and Sam and I have been having this conversation. I think I'll say it here because I predicted it in our thing. I think that Microsoft is trying to launch a little sooner than we expected. And I think that I said this in our prediction episode. I think Microsoft's going to try to launch in September. I originally doubted that. And I think they're going to try to launch the Series X in September. And so I think they are going so seeing them update that date was interesting because I can see Microsoft trying to. They've been really aggressive with their marketing, and I don't know. I think that like we're gonna see weird stuff about their release date. I say that even knowing that the market is fucked right now. But we'll see. I'm just throwing out a little bit of prediction juice. And yes, Reb, that was bizarre.
Prediction juice.
Prediction.
I love it.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a weird thing.
Yeah. And like of all the days for it to pop up, it just felt like it was a weird way of like getting Xbox's name back in the headlines like an hour after Sony had just shown a bunch of.
I mean, it's
stuff.
smart, right? Like
Well,
it's savvy. Is that the word I'm looking for?
it's a footnote on our next gen conversation talk at the end of a podcast. But yeah, maybe. I mean, does anybody else have any other takes on this? I mean, the only thing, again, I guess the other
I
weird
really
thing-
don't. Like,
My other weird thing is in Justin and Reb, I kind of want your take, Justin, because you know PlayStation, and Reb because the business side of it. Are we surprised that we didn't see a box? I know it's a GDC thing. Are we surprised we
No.
didn't see a box?
I was 50-50 on if we would, but I'm not surprised. And especially since Cerny mentioned like the teardown that's coming. Like I think over the next month or two, we're going to see, hey, here's the DualShock 5 and talk about some of the features of that. Hey, here's the box and we're going to do a teardown and show you this cool cooling system that we have. I think it's part of a planned slow rollout of information before we finally get the big game presentation.
Right. Yeah.
I don't have a good answer for that because this is my first year covering a console launch, so I have not been in tune with it in the past, and I don't really quite have a good handle on expectations. So I'm gonna punt there.
Fair enough.
That's all right.
I was expecting at least something when they were talking about audio. I kind of wondered if they were going to be talking about, because the DualShock has a built-in little output for audio. I kind of wondered if they were going to touch on it there, but I get why they didn't. But yeah, does anybody else have anything on next-gen consoles, Derek?
Yeah. I just want to say, I think, and we touched on this earlier, but like the important thing is, even if you were to take a system that had the like on paper weaker CPU and GPU of the PlayStation 5 and the on paper like slower solid state drive of the Xbox One or Xbox Series X, if you're
It's gonna keep happening.
I know.
all gen.
If you were to take the worst parts of each console and combine them like as the baseline, that's still going to be such a big jump. That's still going to offer so much freedom to developers.
Yeah.
Ray tracing, even if not fully completely implemented, ray tracing on consoles is going to be a big deal. It's going to be a big deal for PC gamers because PC gamers, like, we're likely to see ray tracing implemented more frequently. And then, John, I see you have your hand up. I want to do one more thing.
Take your time, bud. Take your time.
And then, like, you know, and Jeff kind of touched on this earlier that like we've been on solid state for kind of a while now, and that's sort of true in that we've been on solid state drives hooked up over SATA that can get you like a 600 megabit per second like transfer rate, but really like NVMEs. Which is what the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox One or Xbox Series X. Fuck, I did it again.
It's gonna keep happening. You're fine.
I know.
I'm doing it too. I type it wrong. I keep typing Xbox Series 1X, and that's not correct.
So they're still not common. Like, I don't know anyone else other than me who has an NVMe in their gaming PC. Like, I've seen people mention having them, but they're still a very uncommon thing. And obviously you can't design around players having them. So I'm curious if, much like ray tracing becomes more standard because of its adoption in consoles, I'm curious if, like, solid state and NVMe, drives increased transfer rates start getting taken advantage of because,
Console standardize them.
Yeah, because you're always held back by whatever the lowest common denominator is in the popular hardware space. And the wild thing is that's about to be PCs when it comes to storage, right? Because unless you have an NVMe, if you have a solid state drive in your computer, you are like 4 times slower. Or not 4 times slower, that's not how that works. You're a fourth of the speed of the hard drive on the Xbox Series X. I didn't say 1 that time.
Got it.
Yeah, like, it's going to be interesting to see how that happens. And if NVMEs catch on more in the PC gaming space. You know, I know this is really more talk about like the consoles, but like the consoles and the PC hardware develop in tune with each other because the consoles kind of set the standard, and the PCs oftentimes can show you what is to come or how that technology will develop better, and then that knowledge reflects back on what people are doing with the consoles. So it's going to get really interesting, and I'm really excited to see that. And I just wish NVIDIA would reveal fucking Ampere already. But
So, John, I mean, I saw you had your hand up. I want to throw this question to you. Now that next gen is you know, less than a year away, I want to know, do you think that we are going to see, you know, I'm trying to be delicate. Panic button can only do so much to keep bringing current gen ports to the Switch. Do you think, obviously, indie games, the Switch is still an indie darling. Like Switch is going to keep getting all those indie games. Do you think that when it comes to double and triple A titles, we're going to have to start seeing more bespoke, made just for Switch games? Because I don't see the EAs and Ubisofts being able to keep, as these things go up. What's your take as somebody who's a Switch primary user, I guess?
So that's an interesting question, right? Like, remember what happened at the launch of the PS4 and the Xbox One, right? Like, we saw cross-gen titles for about, what I would say, a year.
Year and a half. And we'll see
about a year and a half after launch.
The same,
so
if not longer this time, yeah.
Right. So it's interesting, right? Like, especially in the case of the Xbox Series X, because you're going to have different tiers of power there. You're going to have different tiers of capability there. I think you're going to see third-party titles on the PS5 and the Series X. I do think you'll see those show up on the Switch for the first year and a half, simply because we are going to see games on the PS5 that also need to run on a PS4. That's assuming that this generation works out the same way as the last one did, and it's a given. It's possible that it won't, but my expectation is for the first year and a half at least, we will see those ports come. Now, of course, after that's done, it's anybody's guess, and that puts Switch in a really interesting position. Like, we've heard all these rumors about the Switch Pro. Having said that, I don't know if it's wise for Nintendo to split the fan base in that kind of way, because the Nintendo fan base has never really cared about power.
Totally.
And so it can go either way, dude. Like,
okay.
For the first year and a half, yeah, I do. I think you're going to see those ports come. After that, it's anybody's ball game, dude. I mean, we could have a whole new Nintendo system at that point.
That's what I was going to say, because like at that point, we're going to be 4 or 5 years life cycle, like early to end their life cycle if they wanted to go to like a sequel console rather than like a incremental thing.
I will say the Switch is absolutely, like, Nintendo is absolutely locked into the interchangeable format now. There's no going back.
Oh yeah. Jeff,
we say that, but Nintendo could always pull a Nintendo.
Yeah. Jeff,
I was gonna say the rub here is honestly, with how powerful these new consoles are, I'm highly skeptical that even a Switch 2 or Switch Pro could run ports of these next-gen exclusive games.
I can see that.
Just that keeping that handheld factor. I know, technology is always changing, and these processors and the stuff that they're fitting in the Switch is they're always going to be able to fit more in less. But man, like, if you say a Switch 2 launching in 2022, it's not changing that much. Like, you're not putting an equivalent of a RDX 2080 in a handheld like that. Like, I don't see it.
8-core, 16 threads, and 2 CPU with healthy clocks.
And if they did, that thing would cost over $1,000.
Yeah,
just based on the size. So it might just be fruitless, I guess.
Smiles and Razer handheld from CES.
So, we're sitting here talking about, PS5 and Xbox One Series X, but I mean, I'm more excited about the Analog Pocket than I am either of those consoles. So, I don't know. That's just me.
No, yeah, of course.
Can't be upset about something you never believed in the first place.
Okay, Reb, I'm glad to see your face one more time.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Don't be sorry.
In the interest of things we're not talking about, I just received a statement from both GameStop and San Mateo County, so I had to go update a story.
Yay.
You can read it at gamesindustry.biz if you feel like it. Or if you don't, continue with your evening.
That's a sick plug, Reb. That was nice.
Smooth move.
That was real good.
Do we have anything else before we wrap up for tonight?
I don't. I don't have anything.
Not that I can talk about on here.
John, I guess one last thing. Are we doing a community? You don't need to commit to it if we're not ready. Are we doing a community thing this weekend on
100%.
Discord? Okay. So keep checking the Discord people who want to participate.
I can go and tell you the time of the game.
Sure.
9 o'clock, 9 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. Mario Kart, because that seems to be the game that most people have. And we always get a big turnout with Mario Kart. So Mario Kart Community Game Night, SDGC Community Game Night, Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hop in the voice chat and join us.
Since I have a vacation next week at some point, what I will probably do is I will probably open my town gates in Animal Crossing. Probably late next week once I have an established town. I'll probably open my gates to anybody that wants to come and go. I know there's like a limit to people that can come and go, so I'll probably try to keep traffic moving. But yeah, I might do that some evening.
Reb, what are you naming your town?
Letter Cozy.
Of course.
I'm really into Letterkenny right now, and it was a joke on Twitter, and it ended up being pretty good. So.
Well, I knew it was going to be some kind of cozy. So
Cozy. Yeah.
Reb, one last community thing I wanted to ask you. In our Discord,
Yes.
is there going to be Animal Crossing and Doom Eternal specific channels for people to come talk about just
There
those
are
things? If they want to?
currently.
Perfect.
They currently exist.
And so the big thing there is, like, one, make sure you get a link from us if you want to join, and also make sure you read the rules. Don't be openly posting screenshots that are spoilery or spoilery text. But yeah, I mean, I think that there's like a ton of excitement, especially everywhere for that. But in our Discord, it's been kind of cool to see. So there's a place for you to talk about that shit if you're just wanting to escape the other news going on.
If you need a place to go where everyone knows your name, then and they're always glad you came, you should come to the SDGC server. I forgot the rest of the thing, but you should come to the Discord.
I'm always glad when. Never mind. Never mind.
Okay. I guess that's it, huh? We don't have anything else. Animal Crossing in an hour and a half.
Well,
hey,
I don't know what time does it unlock for everyone in the States at the same time, or do I have to wait till midnight?
Good question. I
Does
don't know.
anyone know?
What I
Someone
am
in chat knows.
told,
Tell me, please.
what I am told is that it's 12 Eastern for everyone. So like I'm in Mountain, so it would be because Christine's brother is getting it tonight, and
It's
I think he's playing it at 10.
really, oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Reb, you're gonna be playing in an hour and a half.
I said at like the start of this whole podcast that I was gonna wait and get up in the morning. I don't fucking think I can do it.
No, of course you can't.
Jeff,
Of course you can't.
wait, Jeff, are you playing tonight or it's playing?
It's unknown. I didn't think I was going to be able to afford it, but we might need to get something to get us through the next few weeks. So
Okay.
we'll see. I'll probably end up picking up over the weekend because Christine needs something to play too, and she's been playing this mobile Property Brothers game.
Oh, no.
And,
No,
oh my
I'll make
god.
fun of that.
I can't. I gotta give her something else. So yeah, we'll see. I'm not playing it tonight, but I'm sure I'll end up getting it at some point.
Is a short hike still free on Epic Game Store, or is that rolled over?
I think it just stopped yesterday.
Okay, what's free now?
Good question.
Anybody
Let me pull
know?
it up.
On
I'm
Epic
gonna
Game
pull it up
Store?
right now.
On Epic Game Store, it's Watch Dogs and it's Stanley Parable.
Watch Dogs is free?
Yeah,
The original?
man.
Gotta
Yeah.
watch the dogs.
That seems good.
It's Stanley Parable. I mean, yeah.
No, both of those are good. I think that's like the first like.
Ubisoft.
Oh shit! Yeah, Nate, thank you for reminding me, Nate. I'm very, very sorry. Let me pull up the tweet real quick so that I say the right words. I'm sorry. We all know it's been a week. Do we have a tweet somewhere? There it is. Right. So this weekend, if you are interested in such things, Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. I'm joining my good pals Nate and Cam on the New Entertainment System podcast, which I believe I've plugged on the show before. Originally, they were going to have a panel at Kansas City Comic-Con. Kansas City Comic-Con no longer going on for apparent reasons. So we're doing that panel online. New Entertainment System podcast. They have a robot that basically generates a weird game with a weird twist whenever they hit the button. I'm going to be on there with Brock Wilbur and Ray Apollo. I know like various people in the community know him, and we're going to sit there and I think we're going to go through. Pretty sure if what I was told, if I'm remembering what Cam said correctly, we're going to go through 4 total random games. It should be a really good time. 7:30 p.m. on Saturday. If you just want some big goofs, should be fun.
That sounds awesing.
Yeah,
That sounds really fun.
Thank you for letting me plug that. Sorry, Nate, I
love
forgot.
that.
Sorry.
No, don't be
Concept.
sorry.
We'll find ways that we can retweet and promote that with us too. And yeah, friends of the show. It's always
Should be a good
cool to
time.
do that shit.
Yeah, the good folks.
Sick. All right, John. I think I want you to send us to bed.
All right,
In a
everybody.
quick-
Thank you so much for joining us, especially during a time that isn't particularly all that great. But we appreciate you being here, and please be safe, be healthy. Stay inside, play video games. You have Animal Crossing coming, and you have Doom coming. You have no excuse to go outside. Everybody should be inside, being
Dogs.
cozy, drinking hot tea, washing your hands, and playing Animal Crossing or Doom. You should absolutely be doing all these things. And hey, we will be back on Saturday night with community game night, and we will be back as always next Thursday. And we've got some more
Doom
pre-recorded
and Animal Crossing.
Doom and we're gonna have a big fucking talk about
So,
Doom
yeah.
and Animal Crossing next week. And we've also Zach, you guys, real quick, you guys have some more content dropping, right? You, Zach, you, Justin.
Thankfully we are all done with content this week.
Thankfully,
reminder-
we are done with content.
We're done with
No more.
content for the week. For the record, this week we have made 4 podcasts. This one, Maddie and I did a Corruption 2029 talk about that game that came out. The people who made Mutant Year Zero. We did PS5 specs and we did Xbox Series X specs. There's like 5 hours plus of SDGC content. So if you're not sick of my voice yet, specifically, you're doing something wrong.
Zach, I could never be sick of your voice.
Yeah.
Well, that's a sweet thing to say. Justin, did you have something to say?
That's what I was gonna say. We've had fun putting together some extra stuff for you guys to listen to these past couple weeks. I think we're gonna keep trying to do that. Maybe not quite as much as this week because there might not be quite as much news.
I think some of us should do some morning shows.
We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it, but we're gonna try to keep putting stuff out for you guys so you have stuff to listen to. And we just thank you all for listening and supporting us and letting us do what we get to do.
Absolutely. Couldn't
Leave us a review on leave a review on Apple Podcast for us.
Please do, and please spread
Leave
the
a
word.
review on every
Retweet
service.
us. We could use some more retweets. I'm not gonna lie. Retweet us every time you see the podcast. On
That
Thursday.
seems like a lot. Maybe not every
Retweet
time.
that shit. Hit that retweet.
Sometimes.
Smash that like
Everyone,
button.
have a nice night. Just have a nice night. Don't just
Yeah, we're fine. Honestly, we're fine.
Dad's rambling again.
We're okay.
Everybody
Send
have a
us-
good
send us
weekend.
to bed.
We'll see you next week.
It's
We'll
not
see you
as
next
fun as
week.
we
Get us
always
out of
do,
here.
But we always keep it real. Good night.